Good morning, everybody. Today we will start with lecture number 1, which is about verb classes. Verb classes, in English we have 3 main classes of verbs. Number 1, auxiliary verbs, number 2, modal auxiliary verbs, and number 3, full or lexical verbs. We will talk about each kind or each class of verbs. Let's start with auxiliary verbs. The auxiliary verbs consists of be, do, and have. Be includes is and are, was and were. It can be used to form continuous verb forms. How is that? For example, to form present continuous or past continuous, we should put the subject plus is or are plus verb plus ing. For example, you are lying, she is writing, I am going to do something. Okay. For forming past continuous, we can add was and were plus verb plus ing. So in general, we use be, is or are, was or were in order to form continuous verb forms. This is one function for be. What's about other function? It can be used to form passive. For example, is or are or was and were plus past participle of the verb. It can be used to form passive. For example, these books are printed in Hong Kong. Okay. You can note that we have an activity at the end of this. You can do it and try to do it at home. Okay. Now let's move to the other type of auxiliary verbs, which is do. Do, does, did. Do or does or did, it can be used to form what? Negatives and questions with simple tenses. Okay. For example, present simple or past simple tense. It can be used to form questions and negatives. For example, we have he works at bank. In order to form questions, we can say where does he work. Okay. You can note that we have put does in order to form questions. And for negatives, he doesn't work at a bank. Okay. And you can note that we all of us know that does can be used with the singular subjects and do with the plural. Okay. There is another function for do or does or did. It can be used to express emphasis. How is that? For example, I don't like sports in general, but I do like tennis. What does this mean? I do like things. That means that I'm sure, or there is emphatic sense in this sentence. Okay. That means I'm for sure or for certain I like tennis. Okay. And the activity negate the sentence below. We like parties. I'm waiting for your responses. Finally, we have and has and had. Okay. This is the third class of auxiliary verbs or type of auxiliary verbs. Have plus past participle or has plus past participle of the verb. It can be used to form perfect verb forms. Okay. For example, my car, we have present perfect, we have past perfect. For example, my car had broken down before. This is past perfect. And I will have finished soon. This is what? Present perfect, but it refers to the future. Okay. So have used to form perfect verb forms. What's about the second class of verbs, which is modal auxiliary verbs? Modal auxiliary verbs, they have their own meanings, but they help the other verbs in the sentence. So what's about what's about auxiliary verbs? Auxiliary verbs, they don't have meaning, but they're used for grammatical necessity. Okay, what's about modal auxiliary verbs? No, they have their own meanings, but they help the other verbs. For example, I can swim. Look, I can swim. Can here is expressing what? Ability, okay, or possibility. So it gives the meaning that I am able to swim. This is the main action, swimming. Okay, and we have ranges of modal auxiliary verbs like can, could, may, might, will, would, shall, should, must, ought to, need. Okay, and there are a range of meanings for modal auxiliary verbs. For example, it express obligation, possibility, willingness, request, ability, offer. For example, he must do his homework. That means he obliged to do his homework. I can speak French. This is meaning that I am able to speak French. I will help you. This is willingness. That's readiness. I'm ready to help you. Can you help me? This is kind of request. Okay. Finally, we have lexical full verbs. The lexical or full verbs, these are the all other verbs in the language. For example, run, write, read, talk. All of these verbs have their own meanings, so they can stand alone in a sentence. For example, he runs quickly. Okay, we can note that there is no modal auxiliary verbs or there is no auxiliary verbs, so they can stand alone in the sentence. You should pay attention that be or do or have can be formed as or constitute as full verbs. For example, I do a lot of business. Here do, it constitute as a full or lexical verbs. Okay, so you should distinguish between them when they are acting as auxiliary verbs or as lexical or full verbs. We are at school here to express that I'm in school. Okay, and this is everything about this lecture. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions about this lecture, you can email me on the Google Classroom, and I will answer soon. Thank you very much.